First impressions are made in a heartbeat. Seriously, it takes just seconds for someone to form an opinion about you, and that split-second judgment can either open doors or quietly close them. When you step into a room or approach someone new, the way you carry yourself, the energy you bring, and the subtle signals you send do the heavy lifting before you even say a word. If you want to become the kind of person others instantly like, trust, and remember, there are simple yet powerful things you can do in those early moments that change everything. Now, let's talk about the science behind this. Our brains are wired to process social information lightning fast. We don't consciously decide how we feel about someone right away. Instead, we pick up on body language, tone of voice, eye contact, and countless tiny cues. These combine to create a snapshot that forms the foundation of how we perceive a person. That means if your body language is closed off, your voice hesitant, or your eyes avoidant, people will sense it, even if they can't put their finger on why. But when you align your words with confident posture, warm expressions, and a calm, friendly tone, you send a message of openness and authenticity that makes people want to engage with you. One of the easiest and most effective ways to connect instantly is with a genuine smile. But here's the thing, not all smiles are created equal. A forced grin or polite smile can feel mechanical and off-putting. The kind of smile that wins people over is one that reaches the eyes. It's the softening around the eyes, the slight lift of the cheeks that says, "I'm present, I'm happy to be here." If you catch yourself smiling without feeling it, pause and think of something meaningful or positive in that moment. That natural warmth will shine through, and it's magnetic. Names carry tremendous weight in human connection. When you use someone's name in conversation, you tap into their sense of identity and make them feel seen. Saying, "It's a pleasure to meet you, Michael," does more than just label. It says, "You matter." Use their name naturally a couple of times in your conversation and watch the shift. You're no longer just a stranger, you're someone who values them enough to remember and use their personal identifier. It's a simple yet profound way to deepen rapport quickly. Another subtle but powerful tool is matching the other person's energy. This doesn't mean copying every gesture or word, which can come off as awkward or insincere. Instead, it's about tuning into their vibe, the rhythm of their speech, their volume, their body posture, and gently mirroring it. If they're calm and steady, bring a relaxed tone. If they're lively and enthusiastic, allow yourself to bring a bit more energy and excitement. This phenomenon, known as the chameleon effect, is deeply ingrained in our social wiring, and it helps others feel subconsciously understood and comfortable around you. Listening is just as important as what you say, and asking the right questions is the doorway to genuine connection. When you meet someone new, don't just ask the usual, "How are you?" or "What do you do?" Instead, dive a little deeper by asking engaging questions that show curiosity without feeling invasive. Something like, "What's been the most exciting thing in your life recently?" Or, "What's something you're passionate about?" invites them to share a part of themselves and makes the conversation more meaningful. People naturally open up to those who demonstrate sincere interest. Think about how you want to leave people feeling as you end your interaction. The last impression often colors the memory of the entire meeting. Ending on a positive, confident note, maybe a sincere compliment or a simple, "I really enjoyed our conversation," leaves a warm glow. It's this lingering emotional effect that makes you memorable long after the conversation ends. Of course, there are pitfalls to avoid. Talking too much without letting the other person share can feel overwhelming and self-centered. Avoid dominating the conversation or turning it into a monologue about yourself. Eye contact matters immensely. Too little can signal disinterest or nervousness, while too much can feel intense or aggressive. Finding that balance sends the message that you're engaged and present. Also, trying too hard to connect or forcing a rapport too quickly can backfire, making others feel uncomfortable rather than drawn in. Small shifts in how you show up, from the way you smile to the way you listen, can transform how others see and respond to you. When you become aware of these behaviors and practice them consistently, you don't just make good first impressions. You build authentic, lasting connections that open doors personally and professionally. The psychology of first impressions. We all know that first impressions matter, but what's fascinating is just how quickly our brains form these judgments. In a matter of seconds, sometimes less than a blink, someone decides if they like you, trust you, or want to keep their distance. This process happens almost entirely beneath conscious awareness. Our minds are wired to scan for cues like body language, tone of voice, eye contact, and facial expressions. These subtle signals combine to create an instant snapshot of who we are in other people's eyes. This means that before you even say a word, you're communicating volumes about your confidence, warmth, and authenticity. When you meet someone new, your posture speaks before your story does. Are you standing tall or shrinking away? Is your body open or closed off? People pick up on nervous tics or tension without realizing it. The tone of your voice also plays a huge role. It can convey calm assurance or insecurity, friendliness or indifference. Even the way you breathe can subtly influence how you come across. All of these nonverbal details send messages that stick with people long after the conversation ends. Understanding this helps you realize that first impressions are not about being perfect or rehearsed. They're about being aware of what you're projecting. When you control these small behaviors, you take back the power to shape how others perceive you. You become someone who draws people in instead of pushing them away. This is the essence of social intelligence, the ability to read the room and present your best self naturally. One of the key psychological truths behind first impressions is that people are constantly searching for safety and connection. When your body language is relaxed and your expressions genuine, you signal that you're approachable and trustworthy. If your energy is closed off or distracted, people sense discomfort and distance. That's why a simple change like uncrossing your arms or softening your gaze can transform how you are received. Another critical piece is how our brains crave familiarity and similarity. When you mirror someone's energy or tone just a little, it creates a sense of rapport at a subconscious level. This doesn't mean copying or mimicking, but tuning into their style and rhythm. The human brain responds positively when it perceives someone as like me, making the other person feel understood and comfortable. In short, the psychology of first impressions teaches us that people are wired to make lightning-fast judgments based on nonverbal cues. Words matter, of course, but it's the unspoken language of the body and voice that often seals the deal. When you become mindful of this, you unlock the ability to make meaningful connections effortlessly from the moment you meet someone new. Small, intentional adjustments to your posture, eye contact, tone, and facial expression become your secret tools. They help you come across as confident, warm, and authentic. That's the foundation that allows the real you, the interesting, capable person inside, to shine through naturally and make an unforgettable first impression. Smile genuinely. When it comes to making a powerful first impression, nothing is more effective than a genuine smile. But here's the thing. There's a big difference between a real smile and one that's just put on for show. People are incredibly skilled at sensing authenticity, even if they don't consciously realize it. A true smile isn't just about pulling up the corners of your mouth. It's about the whole expression, especially what happens around your eyes. When you smile genuinely, the muscles around your eyes contract, creating what some call crow's feet, or smiling eyes. This subtle but important detail tells others that your happiness is real and that you're fully engaged in the moment. If you find yourself forcing a smile just because you think you're supposed to, it can actually have the opposite effect. Forced smiles often come off as insincere or even uncomfortable, which can create distance rather than connection. Instead of faking it, try to tap into something that naturally makes you feel warm or grateful. Think about a positive memory, something or someone you appreciate, or even a small victory from your day. That genuine feeling will soften your face and allow your smile to reach your eyes, making it irresistible and inviting. Smiling has a ripple effect. Not only does it make others feel more at ease, but it also changes your own brain chemistry. When you smile authentically, your body releases endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine, those feel-good chemicals that elevate your mood and reduce stress. This means that when you smile genuinely at someone, you're not just lighting up their day, you're actually boosting your own emotional state too. This natural lift in mood often shows in your voice and posture, amplifying your positive presence. It's also important to recognize the timing of your smile. Smiling too early or too late in a conversation can feel awkward. The best moments to smile are when you first meet someone, during lighthearted exchanges, or when you genuinely connect with what they're saying. Matching the emotional tone of the conversation with your smile makes your reaction feel natural and spontaneous, which draws people in even more. But be mindful of cultural differences as well. While a smile is generally a universal sign of friendliness, the way people interpret smiles can vary slightly across different cultures and contexts. In some settings, a broad grin might be seen as overly familiar, while in others, a warm, gentle smile can bridge gaps instantly. Observing and adapting to the social cues around you can help you strike the right balance and avoid misunderstandings. Another little-known secret is that your smile can serve as a powerful, nonverbal invitation. It signals to others that you are open, approachable, and safe to engage with. When people see that you're smiling genuinely, they lower their guard and feel more comfortable being themselves. This openness can spark deeper, more meaningful conversations that go beyond the usual surface-level small talk. If you're nervous when meeting new people, remember that smiling is one of the simplest yet most effective tools in your social toolkit. It requires no special skill or fancy words, just a sincere expression that reflects your true intention to connect. Practicing this natural warmth regularly helps make it a habit, so it becomes second nature whenever you meet someone new. In essence, the power of a genuine smile can't be overstated. It's the universal signal of goodwill and connection that transcends language and culture. When you allow your smile to be authentic, it becomes a bridge that instantly closes gaps between strangers and turns moments into memorable encounters. This small but mighty behavior is the first step toward building trust, likability, and meaningful relationships every time you meet someone new. Use their name. There's a unique power in a person's own name. It's more than just a word. It's a key to their identity, a marker of who they are in this world. When you use someone's name during a conversation, you're not just addressing them, you're acknowledging their presence and showing them that they matter to you. This simple act sends a message that says, "I see you, you're important." It creates a subtle but powerful connection that many people crave, but few experience deeply in everyday interactions. Psychologically, hearing our own name activates parts of the brain related to self-awareness and attention. That's why, even in a noisy room, if someone calls your name, you instinctively tune in. When you remember to use a person's name early and naturally in a conversation, you're signaling respect and interest. It's a way to make someone feel valued, seen, and more engaged. Imagine the difference between meeting someone who says, "Hi, nice to meet you," and someone who says, "Hi, Sarah, nice to meet you." That small addition of the name elevates the interaction, making it more personal and memorable. The key is to use names authentically and sparingly so it doesn't sound forced or awkward. Repeating someone's name once or twice during your initial conversation is enough to create this bond without seeming unnatural. For example, after being introduced, saying, "It's great to meet you, David," then later adding, "That's interesting, David. Tell me more," subtly reinforces the connection. This demonstrates that you're paying attention and value the person beyond surface-level pleasantries. Another reason using names works so well is that it helps your own brain anchor the person in your memory. When you actively engage with their name, you're more likely to recall details about them later, which strengthens relationships over time. It's an investment in your social capital that pays off in every interaction after the first. However, many people avoid using names because they feel awkward or fear forgetting them. This is natural, but with a little practice, it becomes second nature. One trick is to consciously repeat a new person's name silently to yourself when you first hear it. Another is to associate the name with a visual image or something memorable about them. These small habits enhance your ability to recall names and use them confidently. It's also important to note that cultural norms affect how and when names are used. In some cultures, using a first name immediately is seen as friendly and warm, while in others, it might feel too informal or presumptuous. Paying attention to social cues and adapting accordingly shows emotional intelligence and respect, which further deepens rapport. Using someone's name can also soften difficult conversations or diffuse tension. When people feel personally acknowledged, they are more likely to listen openly and respond positively. In negotiations or conflicts, addressing someone by name helps humanize the exchange and keep communication constructive. In social or professional settings alike, this small but intentional habit marks you as someone thoughtful and attentive. It conveys that you're not just hearing words, but recognizing the person behind them. When you consistently use names effectively, you build trust faster, stand out as genuinely interested, and create an immediate sense of belonging for the people you meet. Remember, the name is not just a label, it's a gateway to connection. When you make it part of your natural conversation style, you transform casual encounters into meaningful exchanges. This simple, often overlooked behavior has the power to turn a brief meeting into the start of a lasting relationship. It's a tool of human connection that everyone should master. And it starts with just saying the name. Match their energy. When it comes to building instant rapport with someone new, one of the most underrated and powerful tools you have is simply matching their energy. Now, this doesn't mean copying every single movement or phrase they'll notice, and it will come across as insincere or even creepy. What it really means is tuning in closely to the rhythm of their voice, their pace, and the vibe they're giving off, then gently adjusting your own energy to mirror theirs. This subtle synchronization activates something deep in our brains, creating a sense of comfort and familiarity that draws people toward you without them even realizing why. Humans are wired for connection, and at the heart of that is the desire to be understood and accepted. When you match someone's energy, you send a nonverbal message that says, "I'm on your wavelength. I get you." This is a profound way to build trust and closeness from the very first interaction. Imagine walking into a room and meeting someone who's calm and measured. You won't want to come at them with a loud, fast-paced style because it creates friction. Instead, if you lower your tone, slow your speech slightly, and adopt a relaxed posture, you create harmony. The other person feels safe, and that safety fosters connection. On the flip side, if you meet someone who's lively, expressive, and animated, dialing down your energy too much can make you seem distant or uninterested. Instead, bringing a bit more enthusiasm to your voice, making broader gestures, or showing excitement in your facial expressions can match their vibe and spark an energetic connection. This doesn't mean you have to become someone you're not. It's about meeting people where they are so they feel comfortable enough to be themselves. This idea comes from a psychological phenomenon called the chameleon effect, where people unconsciously mimic the behaviors, postures, and emotions of those around them. It's one of the reasons why good friends and couples start to look and act alike over time. When you intentionally harness this effect in social situations, it acts like a social glue that makes interactions smoother and more natural. Another important aspect is pacing. Matching the speed and volume of someone's speech helps to build rapport quickly. If they speak slowly and softly, you don't want to rush or shout over them. If they talk quickly and energetically, responding in a similar style keeps the momentum going. When your energy clashes with theirs, it creates tension and can make the conversation feel awkward or forced. When it flows together, you both feel heard and understood. Of course, matching energy isn't just about what you say or how loudly you say it. It also includes body language. Are they leaning in or sitting back? Are their arms open or crossed? Your subtle adjustments, mirroring these nonverbal cues, help people feel subconsciously connected. When someone notices that you're in sync with them, it instantly increases their liking and trust. At the same time, it's important to maintain your authenticity. This is not about losing yourself to please others or faking emotions. It's about being aware, adaptable, and intentional with your presence. When you find that balance, you become magnetic, not because you're trying too hard, but because you create a space where others feel seen and comfortable. In practical terms, matching energy can change the whole dynamic of a first meeting. It breaks down walls, reduces social anxiety, and makes people more open to sharing. It's a tool that, once mastered, helps you connect deeply and quickly in both personal and professional settings. The beauty of this approach is that it's simple but profound. You don't need complicated scripts or rehearsed lines. All you need is the willingness to listen with your whole body, observe carefully, and respond with genuine presence. This subtle dance of energy builds bridges instantly, making you someone people want to be around the moment you walk into a room. Ask engaging questions. One of the most powerful ways to build instant rapport when meeting someone new is by asking engaging questions. But not just any questions. The kind that show genuine curiosity and invite the other person to share a meaningful part of themselves. It's easy to fall into the trap of asking generic, surface-level questions like, "How are you?" or "What do you do?" These often lead to automatic, brief answers and don't spark real connection. Instead, the questions you choose can open doors, create space for vulnerability, and signal that you truly care about who the other person is beneath the surface. When you ask thoughtful questions, you shift the dynamic from small talk to authentic conversation. You send a message that you're interested in more than just polite exchange. You want to understand what matters to them. This kind of curiosity is magnetic. People instinctively warm up when they feel heard and valued. It breaks down walls and encourages openness, which is exactly what you want in those early moments of meeting someone. The secret to asking engaging questions lies in framing them in a way that invites stories, opinions, or feelings, rather than yes or no answers. For example, instead of, "Did you have a good weekend?" you could say, "What was the highlight of your weekend?" Or, "What's something exciting you've been working on lately?" These types of questions encourage the person to think, reflect, and share something that's meaningful to them. It turns the conversation into a two-way exchange rather than a checklist of polite exchanges. Listening plays a critical role here. Asking great questions is just the beginning. The magic happens when you actively listen to the answers. When someone shares a story or insight, your follow-up should be genuine and connected, showing that you're paying attention. This might mean asking another question based on what they said, reflecting back what you heard, or expressing appreciation for their openness. Active listening fuels the connection, making the other person feel truly understood. Another powerful technique is to pay attention to nonverbal cues as the conversation unfolds. If the person lights up when talking about a particular topic, lean into that. Ask more about what excites them or what challenges they've faced in that area. When people speak about their passions or meaningful experiences, their energy changes, and tuning into that gives you a chance to deepen the connection further. It's also important to balance curiosity with respect for boundaries. Some questions might feel too personal early on, so be mindful and adjust based on the other person's comfort level. If you sense hesitation or brief answers, gently pivot to a lighter or more general question. The goal is to create a safe, inviting space, not to interrogate or pry. Using engaging questions doesn't just make you more likable, it positions you as someone who values people beyond the surface level. This is a rare and attractive quality. It's about creating moments of genuine human connection that stand out in a world where most conversations skim the surface. In professional settings, this approach can help you build trust quickly, foster collaboration, and open doors to deeper relationships. In social contexts, it's the difference between fleeting acquaintances and friendships that last. The way you ask questions and how you respond lays the groundwork for all meaningful interactions that follow. Remember, every great conversation begins with a question that invites connection. When you master the art of asking engaging questions, you become the person others want to talk to, listen to, and remember. It's a skill that transforms first encounters from awkward exchanges into opportunities for real connection and mutual understanding. Leave a positive last impression. We often focus so much on the first impression that we forget the incredible power of the last impression we leave behind. In reality, the way you end an interaction can be even more influential than how you began it. The final moments of a conversation are what people carry with them afterward, shaping how they remember you long after the meeting ends. When you consciously aim to leave someone feeling good, valued, and uplifted, you create a lasting emotional imprint that keeps the connection alive in their mind. Leaving a positive last impression is not about saying the perfect closing line or rushing through goodbyes. It's about expressing genuine warmth, confidence, and appreciation in a way that feels natural and sincere. When you wrap up a conversation on a high note, you send the message that you enjoyed the interaction and you respect the person you were talking with. This final gesture of goodwill often becomes the emotional bookmark that colors the entire experience. One of the simplest but most powerful ways to leave a great last impression is to offer a sincere compliment or express appreciation. It doesn't have to be extravagant or overly formal. A straightforward, heartfelt remark like, "I really enjoyed hearing your perspective," or "Thank you for sharing that, it was insightful," can resonate deeply. People want to feel seen and appreciated, especially for what they bring to the conversation. When you acknowledge their contributions, it makes them feel validated and remembered. Equally important is your body language and tone as you say your goodbyes. A confident stance, eye contact, and a warm smile reinforce your positive message. When you part with genuine warmth and openness, it leaves others feeling comfortable and valued. Avoid rushing or showing signs of impatience, as that can make people feel dismissed or unimportant, even if unintentionally. Another element to consider is setting the tone for future interactions. If appropriate, you might say something like, "I'd love to continue this conversation sometime," or "It was great meeting you. I look forward to staying in touch." These forward-looking statements plant the seed for ongoing connection, signaling that you're invested beyond just this one encounter. It makes the relationship feel meaningful and intentional from the very start. Pay attention to the timing of your departure as well. Leaving at the right moment, before the conversation drags or energy dips, helps maintain a positive impression. When you sense the natural end, take the opportunity to wrap things up with warmth and confidence. Exiting on a note of enthusiasm and gratitude feels graceful and leaves people wanting more. It's also worth mentioning that a strong last impression isn't just verbal. Small gestures like a firm handshake, a gentle nod, or a brief touch on the arm, when appropriate, can communicate connection and respect without words. These subtle actions reinforce the positive emotions you want to leave behind and help seal the rapport you've built. Be mindful of any distractions at the end of the interaction. Checking your phone, looking away, or turning your body toward an exit too early can undermine your efforts. Stay fully present until the very last second. It shows respect and care, reinforcing the positive energy you've cultivated. Ultimately, the way you end an interaction is a reflection of your emotional intelligence and social grace. When you master leaving a positive last impression, you don't just close one conversation, you open the door to future possibilities. People will walk away from you feeling good about the experience, eager to engage with you again, and that's the true mark of connection. This is why leaving a positive last impression is not something to be overlooked or rushed. It's a vital step that can transform fleeting encounters into meaningful relationships, whether in personal life or professional settings. When you put genuine care into your farewells, you create memories that stick, and that's what lasting impact is all about. What not to do. When it comes to making a strong first impression and building genuine connections, knowing what to avoid is just as important as mastering the right behaviors. Sometimes, the subtle missteps or unconscious habits we fall into can quietly sabotage our chances of creating meaningful rapport with new people. Understanding these common pitfalls and steering clear of them gives you a huge advantage in social situations. Let's explore some key things you absolutely want to avoid when meeting someone new. One of the most damaging mistakes is over-talking or dominating the conversation. When you monopolize the dialogue, it sends a message that you're more interested in yourself than in the other person. It can make people feel unheard, undervalued, or even invisible. Remember, genuine connection is a two-way street. If you find yourself talking nonstop, pause and consciously invite the other person in. Ask questions, listen actively, and create space for them to share their story. Conversations are meant to flow naturally, not feel like a one-person show. Closely related to overtalking is interrupting or cutting someone off mid-sentence. This behavior can come off as rude or impatient, even if that's not your intention. When you interrupt, you signal that your words are more important than theirs. People pick up on this quickly and often shut down as a defense. Cultivating patience and allowing others to finish their thoughts not only shows respect, but also builds trust. It tells the other person that you value what they have to say, which is foundational for rapport. Avoiding eye contact is another huge red flag. While too much eye contact can be intense, too little can be interpreted as disinterest, insecurity, or even dishonesty. Eyes are often called the windows to the soul for a reason. They convey sincerity and presence. When you avoid looking someone in the eye, you create an invisible barrier that keeps them at arm's length emotionally. Striking a comfortable balance with your gaze signals confidence and engagement, inviting people into your world rather than pushing them away. Another common pitfall is appearing distracted or disengaged. Checking your phone, glancing around the room, or fidgeting can all communicate that you're not fully present. In a world filled with constant stimuli, being fully attentive to the person in front of you is a rare and valuable gift. When you give someone your undivided attention, you show respect and create a safe space for connection. Distractions, no matter how small, erode that trust and make others feel less important. Trying too hard to impress or forcing a connection can backfire dramatically. When you come across as overly eager or insincere, people sense the effort and may feel uncomfortable or skeptical. Authenticity is key. It's better to be yourself, even if that means showing a little vulnerability, than to put on a facade. Genuine warmth and openness invite others to relax and be themselves, which is the real foundation of likability. Similarly, talking about controversial or deeply personal topics too soon can create discomfort or tension. While vulnerability is powerful, timing is everything. Gauge the context and the person's comfort level before diving into sensitive subjects. Pushing too hard too fast risks alienating others instead of drawing them closer. Also, beware of negative body language. Crossing your arms, turning your body away, or frequently checking your watch can signal disinterest or impatience. Even subtle signs like a tight jaw or a forced smile can communicate stress or unease. Becoming aware of your nonverbal cues and consciously relaxing your body helps you appear approachable and open. Finally, don't underestimate the power of tone. Speaking too loudly, too quickly, or with sarcasm can unintentionally put people on edge. A calm, measured, and warm tone creates a welcoming atmosphere that encourages conversation. In social interactions, small missteps can quietly build walls instead of bridges. Avoiding these common pitfalls requires self-awareness and practice, but the payoff is huge. When you steer clear of overtalking, interruptions, lack of eye contact, distraction, forced behavior, and negative body language, you clear the path for authentic, meaningful connections that leave a lasting positive impression. People don't remember every word you say, but they will always remember how you made them feel. This truth holds incredible power when it comes to connecting with others, especially in those crucial first moments of meeting someone new. It's not about having the perfect script or saying the right things. It's about the emotional imprint you leave on the other person's heart and mind. When you focus on making people feel valued, seen, and comfortable, you become unforgettable in the best possible way. Think about your own experiences. The people who stick with you aren't necessarily those who told you the most interesting stories or used the most impressive words. They are the ones who made you feel understood, accepted, and genuinely cared for. That feeling, warmth, trust, a sense of ease, is what lingers long after the conversation ends. It's the emotional connection that transforms strangers into friends, acquaintances into allies, and fleeting encounters into lasting impressions. This is why the way you show up matters far beyond the content of your words. Your presence, your energy, your ability to listen deeply and respond authentically. All of these shape how others perceive you. When you approach each new interaction with intention, empathy, and openness, you give yourself the chance to make a real impact. People sense when you're truly present, when your interest is sincere, and when your kindness is genuine. That kind of connection is rare, and it's incredibly powerful. Remember, emotions are the glue that bind us to others. Facts and information may be forgotten, but feelings are etched into memory. By prioritizing how you make people feel, you tap into a universal human desire to be seen, heard, and valued. This goes beyond surface-level niceties and reaches the heart of meaningful human connection. It's a skill that anyone can cultivate, and once you do, your relationships, both personal and professional, will deepen in ways you never thought possible. Every time you meet someone new, you have an opportunity to make a positive difference in their day. It could be through a warm smile, a sincere question, or simply by giving them your full attention. These small acts accumulate and build a reputation of kindness and respect that precedes you. People want to be around those who make them feel good, who uplift them, and who create space for authenticity. You can be that person. As you become more mindful of this truth, your mindset shifts from trying to impress others to striving to connect with them. This shift liberates you from pressure and allows your true self to shine through. When you're genuine, people respond naturally and warmly. They feel safe to open up, to share, and to trust. This is the foundation of every great relationship. So, the next time you step into a room or approach someone new, remember that your greatest tool is not your words, but the feeling you leave behind. Let kindness, empathy, and authenticity guide your interactions. Make people feel good about themselves and about the experience of meeting you. When you do that, you don't just make an impression, you make a difference. And that difference can change lives, including your own.